Hi, Conrad. It is nice to meet you. My name is Fadia Coombs, and I am a marriage and family therapy graduate student at Northwestern University. Currently, I'm completing my clinical training under supervision. And throughout my coursework and supervision, I've developed the skills to work effectively with individuals, couples, and families on relational dynamics, trauma, and systemic change. I also want to reassure you that as part of my supervision, a team of expert clinicians are involved in guiding my work to ensure you receive high quality personalized care. With that being said, since I am a student, all of our sessions will be recorded. If you are uncomfortable with being in front of the camera, we can also use audio recording for all of our sessions. Do you have any questions for me at this time? Before we begin, I'd like to go over the informed consent form that was sent to you via email, which is an agreement about what therapy will look like. We'll meet twice bi weekly for 50-minute sessions, and the fee per session is $80. Payment is due at the time of service, and I accept Visa, MasterCard, and Discover. The clinic does accept certain insurances. However, if your insurance is not accepted, I can provide you with documentation for out of network reimbursement. If you have any concerns about fees, we can discuss payment plan options on a sliding scale. There's also a 24-hour cancellation policy. So that means for any missed appointments without notice, we'll incur a $20 no-show charge. Do you have any questions about payments at this time? Now I want to talk a little bit more about the therapy practice. I practice integrative systemic therapy, which is a strength based systemic approach that helps clients identify and change problematic interaction patterns rather than just focusing on symptoms. IST views challenges within the context of relationships and social systems, which also allows us to tailor interventions that lead to meaningful, sustainable change. Our work together will focus on understanding how your current patterns contribute to distress and explore more effective ways of interacting and coping that align with your needs. My approach is flexible and collaborative, meaning we will adjust as we go to find what best works for you. We can offer in office sessions at the clinic. We request that you please arrive on time and you silence all mobile devices to minimize distractions. We may need to reschedule if you're more than 15 minutes late. Another option we have is for telehealth sessions. You'll need a private, confidential space and stable internet connection. If there's any technical difficulties, we'll attempt to reconnect or reschedule. Telehealth isn't always suitable for every concern, so we can explore alternate options if needed. Please also know that telehealth isn't appropriate in any emergency or crisis, and I urge you to call 911 or go to your nearest emergency room. I also want you to know that everything we discuss in therapy is confidential and protected under HIPAA. However, there are a few legal limits to confidentiality. I am a mandated reporter, and I'm required to break confidentiality if you express intent on harming yourself or others. If you don't have any questions so far, I'd like to get started by learning more about what brings you in today. Does that sound okay? Hmm. 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 Thanks for sharing, Conrad. It sounds like you've been going through a lot. So I'd like to understand more about what's happening. Can you tell me a bit about what's been happening lately? Hmm. That sounds hard. Feeling like you're supposed to be okay, but still struggling? I know you've had a tough year. Can you share a little bit about what things have been like for you at home? Hmm. Hmm. I hear that. It sounds like there's a lot unsaid between you and your family, making things feel even heavier. I also know you've been through a massive loss with your brother's passing. That's also a lot to carry for you. I really appreciate you opening up, Conrad. I know it's not easy to talk about this. I want you to know that this is a space where you don't have to filter yourself. I'm here to listen, no judgment. That makes a lot of sense. You're tired of feeling like you have to perform to be okay for others. Therapy doesn't have to be about rehashing everything over and over. We can focus on what's helpful to you. Does that sound better? I'm glad that sounds better. We'll go at your pace and focus on what feels most beneficial for you. Since we're just starting, I like to set some initial goals together based off of what you shared with me today. These goals are not set in stone. We can always adjust them as we go. Based on what you've shared, how does some of these goals sound to you? Goal number one, I would like for us to work on understanding and managing your emotions better. So you don't always feel overwhelmed and you can start recognizing specific patterns of thinking or reacting. I also want to work on improving your communication with your parents, especially with your dad, and exploring ways to communicate with your mom, which could help relieve some of the emotional tensions for you and your family at home. And another treatment goal that I definitely want to work with you is developing some coping strategies for stress and grief without feeling pressured to constantly talk about them if you're not ready. This might involve exploring healthier outlets or ways to process your feelings in a more manageable way. Would any of these feel like a good place to start? I understand, and that's okay. We'll take it at your pace. My job is to support you and help you find what works for you. Conrad, I want to just thank you again for taking the time to meet with me today. I understand taking the first steps in your therapy journey can be challenging. I just want to reassure you that I'm here for you and to support you every step of your way. Before we wrap things up, do you have any questions for me? Again, thank you for meeting with me. Would you like to schedule our next session? Great.